Hello, Hayfield Talks. I am Miss Lynn. I hope that you are all doing well, staying safe and healthy during this time. I'm super excited. I'm going to be bringing you some art projects through videos during this online learning experience. So let's get started. Today we are going to be talking about illusion of depth techniques. We've talked about these techniques with most grade levels, so this is probably familiar to you. It's a technique that artists use to make their picture look realistic. It allows them to make things look farther away and things closer. This helps the picture look more realistic because in real life, there are things that are farther away from us and there are things that are closer to us. This is a list of illusion of depth techniques. We're going to go through this list to compare these two pictures, and we're going to look for why this picture looks like it has illusion of depth and helps it look more realistic than this picture. So the first thing to notice is where the horizon line is. The horizon line, or the ground line, separates the ground from the sky. And in this picture, it's low on the page. And in this picture, it's higher on the page. To make things look farther away, you should draw your horizon line towards the top of your page. The next thing is size. In this picture, you can see big size differences. For example, this tree is really big, and these trees that are farther away are smaller. This tree that's up close is even bigger than these mountains in the background. In this picture, the tree and the mountain are about the same size. Placement. So placement relates to size. If you look over here, these small trees are higher up on the page. Things that are bigger, they start lower on the page. Here, everything is placed on the same line. So there's nothing that's higher and there's nothing that's lower. Detail. If you look at this picture over here, these trees back here are not very detailed, but the trees in front, you can see that there are bark textures. You can also see that these little houses, this house has a pattern on its roof unlike this house. The next technique is converging lines. This is when your lines, like a road, get smaller farther away, and they're wider and bigger closer towards the bottom of the page. Overlap. Where in these pictures do you see overlap? In this picture, there's not really any overlap, but in this picture, this tree overlaps this house, and this tree trunk overlaps this squirrel, so you can't see the whole squirrel. So this picture is all the illusion of depth techniques, and this picture doesn't really have very many of them. So that is why this picture looks more realistic, and it shows that things are close and things are far away. We're going to take what we have just gone over, and we are going to create our own picture. So you don't have to create a landscape. A landscape is basically a picture of an area of land. You can apply illusion of depth techniques to a different kind of picture. You can make whatever picture you want that shows illusion of depth. It can be a landscape, but I'm going to be showing us these techniques with an underwater scene instead. I'm going to be using a Sharpie. You should start out with a pencil so you can easily erase it. But I'm going to use a Sharpie just so that you can easily see my drawing. So the first illusion of depth technique is horizon line or ground line. So usually the horizon line or ground line separates the ground from the sky. But in my picture, because it's an underwater scene, the ground line is going to separate the ground from the water. So I'm going to draw my ground line. It's going to be a little bit bumpy because things are not perfectly smooth, maybe. It's towards the top of my page. Next, I'm going to draw some fish. And fish that are up close should be big. So I'm gonna start by drawing a nice big fish. I'm gonna make sort of a rainbow shape. And then I'm gonna make a smile shape to make this sort of pointy oval. And I'm gonna add triangle shapes to make the fins for my fish. I'm gonna add a curved line. This is the gill that they breathe from, and this is the side fin. I'm gonna add details to my fish. And I have fish number 1. I'm gonna add another big fish. So now I have 2 larger fish. That means that to show size, I need to make a smaller fish, and it should be towards the top of my page because things that are farther away and small are towards the top, and things that are bigger are towards the bottom. Now that I have my fish drawn, I'm gonna add some different kinds of coral and different kinds of plants. There's all different sorts of underwater coral and plants. So if you want to draw your own underwater scene, draw a whole bunch of different kinds. Remember though, that if you make things that are close, make sure they're at the bottom of the page and big. Alright, so I have some bigger coral that are towards the bottom of the page and some bigger plants that are towards the bottom of the page. I should add some smaller ones farther in the back. So now I have some really good examples of size and placement. The next thing I can work on is detail. So things that are closer should have more details than things farther away. So if I look at my picture, where can I add some details? These fish, I could add some scales or some stripes. I could also add some texture onto my coral. I have finished adding some texture and some details to my fish. The next thing that we can add is converging lines. So there's probably not going to be a road underwater. So to show converging lines, I'm going to add a treasure chest. So I'm going to draw the front part of my treasure chest. It's just a rectangle. I should make sort of the lid, and then there's going to be a latch to keep it closed. And then to draw the converging lines, I can draw the lines that go in. So these are the sides of my treasure chest, and then this is the back edge of my treasure chest. So I have converging lines because the sides go smaller as they go back. So this one is smaller because it's farther away than the front side of the treasure chest. And then I'm going to add some details because sometimes treasure chests have gold details. Then we're telling that that's the gold details. The only thing left that I have not shown in my picture is overlapping. So I should add more things to my picture to show that. I think one thing that I can do is I can create a couple more plants that will be behind other things. So, for example, I can add some plants behind this coral. And you can't see the bottom of the plant because it's behind this coral over here. I could also add, I know, I'm gonna add an eel to my picture. An eel has sort of like a squiggly shape. So I drew sort of a squiggle, and then I need to draw a squiggle on top. And that's my eel shape, and it's going to be hiding behind this plant. This is the eye of my eel, and I'm going to make my eel smiling like that. And a lot of eels have spots, so I'm going to add some spots to my eel. Eels look kind of like underwater snakes, I think. Now I have all of the illusion of depth techniques, so I think my picture could be finished, but I want to add a couple more things to it. My picture is now finished. I've added a squid. A squid has this long oval shape with a flat side. They have these really big eyes, and they have many legs. I've added a seahorse, and I've added this plant over here that overlaps with the ground line. If you are drawing an underwater scene, I would recommend Googling different pictures of fish, different pictures of underwater animals, and different pictures of plants, coral, sea anemones, because it always helps to have reference pictures in order to draw more realistic things. Sometimes it's hard to draw from memory, so looking at actual pictures of fish might help you draw your picture. I hope that you had fun creating your illusion of depth drawing. I would love to see the artwork that you've created, so if you would like to, please take a photo and email it to me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you had fun while learning. Have a marvelous day, stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun with the rest of your distance learning.